Wally West, and you, an idiot, if you're not watching Southern Comic Geek. You hear that, Stimpy? Yeah, I heard it. I'm a Northern Comic Geek.
What's up, YouTube? Southern Comic Geek coming to you with another random haul video. That's right, a haul from the mailbox, that is. Comic book mail call today. And before we get into all of this comic book goodness, go ahead and smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm. Hit the subscribe button as well as the bell notification, so when videos like this one drop ever so randomly, you are one of the first people to know and can make the conscious decision as to whether or not to watch an hour later, as long as you watch it. We appreciate you. Talking about people we appreciate, how about the list of channel members? People that are supporting the channel through their monthly membership, whether through Patreon and or YouTube. They are supporting the channel, and of course that membership comes with benefits, not the least of which are monthly giveaways. If you're not familiar with the channel, welcome. But if you are familiar with the channel, maybe you've just been putting it off, one of the things that we do here is a monthly giveaway for the channel peeps. And that is this month going to be an Uncanny X-Men 266, 9.4, first cover appearance of Gambit, second appearance. We all know that. But anyway, that is what the monthly giveaway is going to be. And the way you get in it is fairly simple. There are several different ways that you can get in it. For every membership, you get 10 entries to win. And for every $1 super chat given in live shows like this one, you get 1 entry to win. Some people do go left and some people go right, some people go both ways, but in either case, that is how you can get in it to win it if you are so interested. That is, we've got a couple of folks up in the chat. What's going on, Warlord? How are you? Saw you over there on the Foosters channel with those Batman Beyond books. Good pickups this year. Slim Comics and more. How are you doing today? It is definitely cooler here in the South than what I am used to, even being this time of the year. But thank you, gentlemen, for showing up. And let's talk comics, as Bearded Comic Bro likes to say. I don't know if you are like I am in the sense that you get on these buying binges. eBay is particularly horrible about it because it starts using their algorithm to suggest other things that you might like. Amazon, of course, is another one. But we're talking to comics today, so more eBay based. So I was on there last week before last, and got on this buying binge. And don't ever make the mistake of putting a bid in something and thinking, oh, that's so low, it'll never get gotten. It will be higher in the end. Somebody else will take it, because that's the very one that you are going to win. And hey, look, we can't win them all. We can't win them all. But yeah, you certainly got closer. This is what happened with this one. So I bet $1 on this auction. That was the minimum starting bid. I won it for $1 plus shipping. So it cost me $9. So let me show you what I got. I got a Turok #1. What was interesting about this Turok #1 is that it comes in this comic. I've seen these before. BCW puts them out. And in talking about BCW, you can obviously go to their website and use the coupon code SCG at checkout to save yourself 10% on your order. I like that little plug. But as many Turok ones as I have, I still would not be putting this in a comic frame as such. Just me. But I felt like it was an interesting choice. So I did get the comic frame out of the deal. I'll put the Turok one with all the other 50 plus Turok ones that I have. So that will go in there. And I got the comic frame out of the deal. This is the other interesting thing that I got, is the Turok, one of the Turok action figures from back in the day. So if you remember when Acclaim bought out Valiant, and then of course they were trying to cross-platform stuff similar to the way all these companies are doing nowadays, but they were kind of ahead of their time and a victim of their timing. But if you remember the Nintendo 64 game, there were several iterations of the Turok game. And so, though this gentleman's name was Turok, this is not really the Turok like this, or Turok Son of Stone, long story short. But there were 3 different action figures that you could get. Playmates, who was probably more famous for their turtle line, put this one out. And this is Adon, Speaker of the Forever Light. It also comes with a Turok 2 game code thing inside. So that's pretty neat. I didn't even remember these from back in the day, but that's what came at your dollar bidding. Yeah, Turok. It was like a Doom, but instead of demons, you got dinosaurs, right? But yeah, it was a cool game back in the day. Yeah, it happens sometimes. You bid and you end up getting it. Okay. So I got these books right here from Cat 60. Cat 60, he's one of the channel supporters, and he is oftentimes featured on the Saturday Cartoon Crew auction. He is on just about everybody's auction. I mean, the guy does an auction every single day, I think. Having said that, this is Never Never, number 5. Yeah, 5. This is a like horror, Peter Pan horror related deal, and is a Hulk 340 homage. Check that out. Yep. Normally these days they'll put after whoever they homaged it to, but I don't even see a signature on here for them to have done that with. So there is that. I also got from him Never Never number 1. This is the second print. What's going on, Stan? How are you doing, man? I saw you on Foo's channel with Warlord and several other folks the other night. Good seeing you again. You've been out there hiding, busy, I understand, doing stuff, but good to see you. Another one of the channel members. And I didn't realize that you had gotten so far along in your Detective Comics. I think you said the number of the night. It eludes me right now, but how many you needed to have that first Martian Manhunter forward. So congrats on that. I'm going to drop a link in the chat. Drop a link in the chat. Don't have an awful lot to show off today, but if you wanted to jump on and talk some comics, maybe your goals or what you got lined up on your channel, feel free to jump in. All right. I also picked up this. This is Cerebus. And of course, with the Cerebus comics, they do a lot of homages, which is kind of my thing. And this is Batman Damned. Cerebus. Anyway, it's kind of fun. So got those from the Cat 60. Got this from C. Woodard, best known for his newsstand. Just need 89, man. Congrats on that. That's huge. Hey, no problem, Warlord. Appreciate you for sneaking a peek in on the video. But yeah, so I got these from C. Woodard. This is Dark Horse Comics Insider from October of 95. So this is a preview of Heir to the Empire. Is this the first appearance of Admiral Thrawn? I don't know. There's also another one I've seen people put out that is kind of when that one come out as opposed to Heir of the Empire 1. But that's why I picked it up from him. And since I had one coming, I picked up one I was missing, Doc Afra number 17. What? A random live unboxing? I know, Tyler. Who would have thunk it? But appreciate you, good sir, one of the channel supporters there. I got on my eBay binge. I've been on this Nintendo kick, probably because I'm so close to completing it. For those of you who don't know, Valiant, when they first got started, prior to relaunching the Gold Key characters in their own Valiant universe that most people know it by today, they started off with wrestling, WWF, and Nintendo comics. There are several versions of these. These are the newsstands. All of them have this, so that is not the newsstand indicator, but the price is. So if you see one that is not hard cardstock glossy and it's $1.95, that means it is the direct. The $1.50s are the newsstands. So this is issue number 4. And this is issue number 3 of that run. And these are in those Vantage bags. So I really like the Vantage bags. Comic Fu, of course, with the Vantage mystery box, mystery man thing that he does, kind of introduced me to that. I've ordered some mystery boxes. And then the last time I did, I ordered some bags from him as well. I don't think he sells boards, which was an issue because both are kind of hard to come by these days. Oh, I forgot I got these also from Cat 60 and didn't realize that this was a connecting cover. Batgirl's number 1. This is In Huck Lee. This is the unmasked version, and the other one is them masked, but didn't realize that, so I'm going to have to pick up the other one as well. Awesome cover. I'm going to have to read it and check it out because the art was kind of off-putting, very, very kiddish. Sloppy kiddish. Anyway, we got Batman 118. This is the B cover, the Matina cover. I have typically been, since DC raised the prices, I have only been getting one of the covers for both Batman and Detective. With Matina doing the B's for Batman and Bermejo doing the B's for Detective, even though those are more expensive, I typically get those, but sometimes my LCS doesn't have them, and because I'm impatient, don't want to wait, I end up picking the other one up. So I had those coming from Cat 60. He has a diamond account, so he gets all these books. He normally gives a discount on the auctions that he's on, and he threw those up there. I got the Batman 118. It's a exclusive of some kind. I got mine from Big Time Collectibles, but and maybe it's a Big Time Collectibles exclusive. I was thinking maybe it was from somewhere else, but it's a Spider-Man 1 homage. So I picked that up there. And I got this one just in time for Christmas. And the reason why I say that is because it came wrapped as a Christmas present. I bought it off of Short Boxed, so you automatically know that it is a graded comic because that's the only thing they sell currently. What's going on? Who dat? Who dat? So that's the only thing Short Box sells, and so you know it's a graded comic. And I was wondering why it was taking so long. So I don't know if they wrapped it for the purposes of thinking they would rush it, wanting somebody to get their Christmas on time, that they wouldn't smash it because they thought it was a Christmas present. Or what they did, reason why they wrapped, or they felt bad because they took so long. I don't know, but regardless, it was wrapped like a Christmas present. You speak the Fooster's name and he will appear. What's going on? Comic Fu, hashtag Fu is a furry. That's right. And if y'all didn't know this, breaking news, Fu and his ilk have gone into outer space. True story. So was a small step for people and a large step for furry kind. So there you go. And congratulations on the show the other night. Fu, that was a great show. Caught it on the rewind and watched all of it. And all the panelists talking about their gets and their goals. Mainly their gets. I don't think anybody had really settled on where they were going for the next year. What's going on? You know what I'm talking about, Fu. You know what I'm talking about. Okay. Steven Spock, I don't know if you saw this earlier, but I showed this. This is Never Never number 5. Look at that. Reflection. That's right. A little 340 homage there. So the short boxed book that I got was Harbinger Zero. signed by Josh Dysart. So Josh Dysart was the writer, and Miko Suyan did not only the covers, which is basically what he does these days, but he also did the interior. So pretty dope there. And then we got a visitor. What's going on?
Hey, how y'all doing?
How you been doing, man?
Oh man, I'm busier than a proverbial one-legged man in a Heine kicking contest.
Wow.
I got 2 more weeks before I'm back to work full time, so I'm trying to utilize the time constructively. If you can see the mess behind me, believe it or not, I did bag and board and inventory. Probably, I got down here about 1 o'clock, so probably about 200 books.
So your time down, are you doing a lot of what do they call that, rehab to get you back in shape, or what?
Yes, that's what I'm in right now for my knee. PT, physical therapy, whatever you want to call it. And I wasn't going to join in. Then I'm like, you know what? I've been down here working pretty steadily now for 2.5 hours. I guess I'll join on in and say howdy.
Well, yeah, that is a fun mess to clean up. I mean, if you had to take a choice of what you want to clean up, and that's what I was telling my wife over there, because like you and y'all were talking about it on Food Show the other night, Boris bags have been in short supply, and man, they just kept on piling up, and it was driving my OCD like insane.
Well, I tell you, my comic shop's going to hate me on Wednesday when I go do my pickup, because I'm putting away some DC books. You know, the first stack I did was DC, so I go over to my DC box that I had still available, and I'm like, crap, it's full. So I start looking for boxes, and I'm like, I'm out of boxes 100%. And I'm like, I'm looking around the room going, well, this sucks. So, and I think they're on back order from BCW till like February or March of next year.
Yeah, it's crazy. And my LCS had some boxes, and I picked up some, so that helps. But they don't have the file compartments.
The houses. Yep.
Yeah. So they don't have those. I typically order them. I just need to go online and order them. Bueller had a code, Bueller. I can't remember the name of the website offhand, but and I normally order them from there, but they're on that side of the States. But I need to get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I need to get 10 of those just to be caught up, because I don't know how you file your stuff, but you know, I've got Batman related titles. I've got a Turtle box, a Spider-Man box, the X-Men boxes, and then the Valiant stuff, and then everything else. So I know some people go by publisher, and some people go by character, or just alphabetical order. How do you put yours in any kind of shape?
Well, the titles that I collect, like Spawn, Fantastic Four, Detective Comics, and stuff like that, are over here, eventually going into short boxes. That's the short boxes over here. Then everything else is DC, Image, Independence, and Marvel. And but I got to change something for next year, because what I'm running into already is I've done like A through D in Marvel. Mm-hmm. Well, as I thought I left enough room in there to finish off the end of the year. I was wrong. So it's like I'm not 100% sure how I'm going to alleviate that for next year. I think right now my brain's telling me, get everything I have here filed, continue working on organizing everything, and anything that comes in next year, like when I'm first doing them, I always put these little blank tab things here, and then I just put a Post-it note in there. Do it as like DC 2022 box 1, and then just fill them up till the end of the year, and then beginning of next year have a pain putting them all away.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, see, that's what I'm running into the same thing with certain runs, where I get on this binge of collecting like a certain Valiant book, or you know, a certain other character, and so they'll start getting thicker, and I have to rearrange the boxes. But I've got that tab thing like you do, and you can slide an index card in it, so you can constantly change it out. But then you have to rearrange the stacks, because I like it to flow, because I like to be able to, you know, go exactly.
I'm the same way.
So
some people say I'm a little OCD, but then when you look at the way the state my room's in, you know I'm not. So, but it's like when I do put things away, I'm very meticulous. Like I'm a professional mechanic, and in my toolbox, when I worked at dealerships, my wife would come in and visit me, and she'd move my tools around. And I would just get like irate with her because, like I told her, I said, for one, I know where my tools are. End of the day, I always take an inventory to make sure I didn't inadvertently leave something on a vehicle, you know? And plus, when she moved them, when you're working a flat rate, as we call it, which is commission, you get paid, you know, if the job says it takes 2 hours and you get it done an hour and a half, you still get paid the whole 2 hours, you know? When I'm looking for tools, it really ticks me off, you know, because it's like, I want to get my paid.
Well, and you know, I have a mechanic friend who's like that, and it gripes him to no end to see some of these younger mechanics, and they'll have like the cat litter, whatever they call it,
Yep.
to put down for the oil and not cleaned up. I mean, it's just laying
I
there,
hate
and you're
that.
kicking your feet through all of that, and their stuff's a mess. And
Yep.
his bay is pretty orderly for to have oil and all the other kind of stuff going everywhere.
I understand how it feels because I get back to work and like if I've been off for a little bit, I get back and the guys that cover me are, I don't want to sound rude because they're, you know, they're going out of their way to cover me, but my shop is this a pigsty. It takes me days to get it cleaned back up. But the good thing is usually the first 2 days I'm back, I can't get in the stupid computer anyway, so I really can't do anything. So I clean.
Well, and you know, Foos, I mean, and this sounds kind of like what you were talking about, Stan, is he does it by publisher,
Yep.
then A to Z, and then he has the going year, and then I guess at year's end and the first of the next year, he puts them all into the thing to minimize. And that makes a lot of sense. So, like, I then if I did that, I would just have a row of, okay, these are just everything. I can kind of sort them, which is what I've done now. I've got them sorted by what they go into, but just not in the exact order. But that way I can kind of, as I'm pulling out the old boxes, I can filter them into my collection. I'm going to have to start doing it that way. When I first started and I didn't have as many to worry with, it was a little easier to do exactly the way I've been doing it, which is put them in there as soon as I read them.
Yep. That's what I used to do too. Yep.
But yeah, now it's got too much of a hassle. And then if it becomes a hassle, and you don't like doing it, then that aggravates you. And then you do like Foo does and then sells all your books and mystery boxes to some sucker.
Wasn't that nice though? Because I was just thinking back when you said that, how nice it was when like you had like just a couple long boxes or short boxes. You could just go, oh, this is so nice. And now I look and I'm like, yeah.
Well, and used to I would go through like the boxes. I would just sit there and thumb through the books just to relook at the stuff. And I'm like, nowadays, when do I find time to ever do that?
Yep.
So,
well, that's part of my problem. I start going through boxes, and a box, you know, like let's say it should take, we'll say an hour to reorganize the box and get everything. I start looking at the books. And all of a sudden, the hour job turns into 3-4 hours, and all of a sudden, I'm like, "Dang, I'm done for the day," and I only did one box. So, yeah,
right. Well, see, like if you buy in big bulks, you know, you can't read them all before you put them up. Or if I'm like trying to collect a run, I don't want to read stuff out of order.
Yep.
So the way I can tell it, there's a way to do it in CLZ now, but the way I do it is that I put it in there not taped if I haven't read it.
Okay, gotcha. Yep.
So when, like what you're saying is when I go to file and okay, well now I've got this run of these books, I go, well, let me go ahead and read these 10, and I pull them out and I get to reading. And like you said, before you know it, what happened?
Yep. Yeah. You know, it's like you get home from night at work after work and have dinner with the fam. And then you're like, oh, I'm going to go downstairs at 8 o'clock. Thinking, oh, I'll get through a box and go back upstairs. All of a sudden you're looking at the clock and you're going, oh my God, it's midnight. You know, it's like, and like you said, especially if you pull some books out, I guess part of that, it's cool because to me that still says, even though I'm 49, it still tells me that I still have some of that joy and happiness in a hobby. That I'm not just doing it for money. It's not just I'm buying, because I want this book to become $1,000 book. I want this book to become, I still enjoy. Honestly, some of the titles I enjoy have like almost zero value. I mean, to be honest, the Thing, there's only a couple books in the old Thing run that have any real value. The new Thing run, the first 2 books are okay, but I don't know, just my favorite character. So I gotta get him.
Well, yeah. And then when you have the disease we have, completionism, you get the crappy stuff and you're like, okay, I'm just going to trudge through it because
Yep.
it's going to get better. It's going to get better.
Yep.
But sometimes it never does.
Yeah.
Hey, Tony, what's up? You must have sensed the signature in the force. I just showed off this new signature book I got from Josh Dysart. But and Fu, time for a Harley talk. I could show my first appearance of Harley Quinn. Maybe that'll get him energized.
Still one book that's escaped me. I have the rest of that run, the Batman Adventures, but I don't. What is it? Number 12 is Harley Quinn.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I don't have that, and that's another one of those books that I think I put a solid bid in on eBay, and because I hate trying to snipe at the end, because I'm that guy that all of a sudden will be like way overpay for it. So I just put what I feel is a solid bid and ignore it, and then I come down and I've lost it. Obviously, the last couple of times I've bid, I've been way off on what I thought was solid, because I didn't lose by that, like, oh, I lost by $2. I come down like I lost by 200. It's like, oh, okay, I got to relook how much that book is now.
Yeah, and I bought that a while back, and I bought it in a newsstand. It's a lower, it's a 7.0 newsstand copy. And I paid a fair enough price. It's gone up a little bit. It's one of those books in the Batman thing that I might might not. I've thought about getting rid of it before, because I'm not a huge Harley Quinn fan, but I do like Batgirl. So she's on the cover too. So
nothing wrong with that.
Well, and Fu makes a good point here, getting excited. So it's kind of like spring cleaning, right? You get to flip through the books all over again, re-energizes you to filling in those missing gaps and keys. Yeah. So you gotta know your own self and your limitations and your what drives you, and if that helps.
Exactly.
Tony says that's a book that he's okay never to. So have you ever read Alan Moore's Swamp Thing?
Yes, I read the majority of it, but there's a couple that I was missing, and now that you remind me, I got to find those.
So I've never read it before, and when I started, somebody recommended me the Ron V. Mike Perkins run that's currently going on.
Mm-hmm.
So I went to the LCS, and they had this Saga, the Swamp Thing.
Oh, I love that cover.
They had the first copy, and so I quickly went through it and promptly ordered this one off Amazon. And this one, these are $100. It says USA. I paid $75 with free Prime shipping on Amazon. But this book, I mean, it's like a felt cover. It's really nice. Cool. It's got the bookmark. It's got some art at the back. Beckerman can, I'm sure, dig the original art stuff in the back of the book. But I just finished this one last night. This is the one with the first appearance of Constantine in it. And I know there's somebody else.
I think that's issue 8 or something like that. I can't remember what one.
Looking for a Constantine. But yeah, so number 3 is soon to come out. I think it comes out in January, so I'll be picking up the 3rd installment. But Alan Moore, definitely in his heyday. And he was in his element with Swamp Thing. I think he did a really good job kind of redefining that.
Yeah. I like that one.
What's up? What is up?
So I got a question for you, Jason.
Mm-hmm.
Your Incredible Hulk number 1, what grade is that again?
0.5.
I don't know if you're a key collector person. I subscribe to it. I don't really necessarily pay a lot of attention to it, but I was going through it. Incredible Hulk number 1, like super sales, a 0.5 sold for $7,500. I was just like, boy, Jason did good. You're the person I thought of instantly. Yeah. I was like, yeah, he did good.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, I sold my X-Men 1, and I sold it for 3 times what I paid for it. And it was like my Hulk one in the fact that it was coverless.
Okay, gotcha.
And that's what made it a 0.5. So, oh, wow, nice.
Oh, sweet.
Alan Moore run of Swamp Thing's first trade book, one of the earliest comics I read. Very strange story for a kid. Yeah.
Well, that explains a lot about you, Fu.
It does. His proclivities, and Because the deal with Alan Moore, somebody's fixing to get raped, or there's some
Yes.
weird sexual stuff fixing to go down.
I was gonna say there's always some inappropriate. Yeah. Doesn't matter what you read of it. Yeah.
I mean, having sex with a plant or whatever, that's what's going to happen. But yeah, the only thing I knew about Swamp Thing from back in the day was the cheesy movies, and they had a cartoon series and a toy line for a little while. But yeah,
I
there
was
was
just getting Swamp Thing and Man Thing confused. So weren't they actually like created by the same person? I think somebody was saying something like that.
I don't know if they're created by the same person or not. Lynn Wein and Bernie Wrightson were the creators of Swamp Thing. I think Man Thing came after, if I'm not mistaken. Anybody in the chat, feel free to correct me. But I got a Hulk book the other day that was drawn. The cover was drawn by Bernie Wrightson, but it had Man Thing on it. So he drew the copy of his character. I thought that was kind of funny.
Okay, no, it wasn't the same people. I just Googled it.
Okay.
Gotta trust Google.
Sure. Yeah, nothing ever goes wrong on Google.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Miracle Man 13 was maybe afraid of locker rooms for a bit. Oh, okay. So, Who Dat says Man Thing was first, and Beckerman does too. So, I stand corrected. There you go.
Okay.
Those Marvel DC characters, some came before the other ones, right? The copycat character in the other universe. Say,
it always happens. I mean, it has to. I mean, how many different superpowers can you have that come from different means and ways? I mean, honestly, that's
right.
There's going to be overlap no matter what you do in that. I've sat here one day bored and I tried to think of like a superpower that I could think of nobody had, and unless it was just an absolute like something you couldn't put in a comic book, at least not for regular sale, there's none left really that I could think of.
Yeah, well, and that's true. And so you're never going to not be able to say, hey, that one's just like this, because there's going to be similarities to it. And even with the, let's say the Image characters that came out in the 90s, everybody goes, oh, well, they were knockoffs. And some of them were pretty blatant knockoffs. But yeah, but you look at Pitt. Now, Pitt does bear a striking resemblance to Hulk, minus the claws and the ponytail, but his origin is totally different. Yep. And so on and so forth. So if you kind of get into the character, if they build the character out, it maybe becomes a little more meaningful.
Yep. And it's still cool. I still like reading the newer stuff where they're trying to come up with different ideas of stuff. Just like right now that Knighted book, it's basically somebody killed Batman and had to take his position. But it is, I'll admit, I've enjoyed the first two books. It's been a fun read, a little different, but it's been fun. So
yeah. Sometimes, and I think an example of this would be Transformers. I think GoBots actually came out prior to Transformers, but was invented or whatever. But as far as the cartoon, Transformers came out and beat it, and therefore, you could argue that that's what made them more popular. They were based on the Heap. Okay, there you go.
Okay, I was gonna say I was thinking there was another character that was by somebody else that was different, and I couldn't think it was the Heap. So is that like a trash heap foo, or is it like still like a swampy type base thing? Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so Steven's box says Heap was first too.
Yeah, Bub says everybody talking about the Punisher logo. Yeah, it's garbage. But it's been so long since I've been a Punisher fan, it doesn't bother me as much anymore. But what do you think on that?
We want to talk. Oh, Punisher's new logo. I haven't seen it. We want to talk about copycats. I mean, right here, the adolescent radioactive black belt hamsters. Yep. Issue 1, baby. This is a collector's item. Need to find it.
Yeah. Who Dat says TMNT and Battletoads. Oh yeah. Hey, well, they say that mimicry is the highest form of flattery. However, trademark lawyers would tend to disagree. So.
Yeah, no doubt there.
And in this day and age where there's so many zeros attached to this IP, and so little new IP is coming out. If you think about it. I mean, how has Disney made their money over the last 10 years, 15
Pretty
years?
much revamping stories that already existed.
They bought companies. They bought
Yep.
Pixar. They bought Star Wars. They bought Marvel.
Yep.
They bought the Muppets. I mean, they've bought all these companies in the last 15, 20 years, and to revamp, because they weren't coming up with any new stuff themselves.
Yep.
Yeah, he was a swamp creature from 1942. So there you
Wow.
go. So I decided to, I put you and a couple other folks into a group chat yesterday, thinking that I was fixing to get my next big Batman book, and decided to go somewhere different. So I agreed with almost everybody that I don't know if I would be okay with the green label. I mean, I would be okay, all things being equal, but I wasn't too hip on it. And it probably has to do with the fact that I had an opportunity to buy that book at a higher grade and passed on it.
Okay.
I mean, but that's on me. That don't mean I can go back and get it for that same price. And then that double cover, I tried to put several offers in on it, and the person wasn't budging that much on eBay. So next thing I know, somebody mentions about another Hulk book, and I end up getting one. So, so I bought a Hulk number 6.
Oh, nice.
Already slab, bought it off short boxed. The interesting thing about that was they had it for a certain price, and I had favorited it. So it had been sitting there for a little bit, and I made them an offer. They came back only $40 difference than what my offer was.
Okay.
I get an email from Shortbox. So this is the second time this has happened. I get an email from Shortbox that says, hey, we want to help you complete this deal. If you will go ahead and buy this and just let us know when it's finished, we'll give you the $40 back.
Okay. Geez,
So
twist my arm. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I bought it, and they just refund me the $40. So I got it for my, lower
Sweet.
offer.
Can't complain about a deal like that. I mean, it's wow.
and so I don't know if they're just trying to hit a certain number they sell, or endear people to the use of the application. I don't know, but that's the second time that's happened. So I do have one more scratched off of the want list for this year.
Nice.
No, but talking about your Detective Comics run, I mean, have you been just binge buying eBay purchases, or you just got that big of a honey hole there?
No, I when I got to the point where like there's nothing left. Well, the local LCS probably 2 months ago, maybe 3 months ago now, had somebody dropped off some of the newer stuff. Not like the new current run we're in, still volume 1, so like the 800s and stuff. And I literally bought every one of them. I went through there. They didn't have the list. I walked up to the front. I said, I have X amount of dollars I can spend a day. If I can't cover all this, can we put the rest in the back? And they're like, sure. And I was shocked. I actually was able to get all of them. So that right there covered, had to be at least 50 books. Had to be. What stinks right now is a lot of the books I need are minor keys. So, they're not super pricey, but at the same time, you're not going to be getting them for I picked this up for $5. Oh, one in like I try to keep them all no lower than a 2530.
Okay.
So any of those I'm going to be picking up, they're going to be at least $50 in that. And that's not, I shouldn't be saying that's like super expensive, but it's just, I'm happy I'm at 89 that I have left. But when I realize that probably 50 of those are going to be at least $50, I'm like, wow, that's still a lot of money to go. So it's like,
yeah, you get all excited because some people, I've heard Reggie collects. He say, hey, go for the big books first, and because then the other ones. Me, I'm kind of the opposite of that. Well, except when it came to Hulk, I got Hulk 1, and then I felt like I could do anything. But everything, but with the rest of them. Like with my X-Men run, I started on the small stuff, and I got that momentum that I felt like, hey, I'm going somewhere. I can get this. I can do this. And like you were saying, you've already got a lot of the easy ones. Now you're to the hard point. Maybe there is a balance to it, but so mainly your Silver Age. Well, the issues you got, they're all Silver Age now, basically, right?
Yeah, pretty much all of them. There's a few, more like in the 800s, 700s, but they're all like first appearance. Gosh, I can't remember the one. It's first appearance of somebody, and that one will probably be like a 9.0 or 8.5, and that'll be $50, So because the newer they are, I don't want to have like I'll just use a number 800. I don't remember exactly what I need. An 800 at like a 2.5. You know what I'm saying? It's like I still want that to be a, at least an 8.0, 8.5 or something. I'm pretty sure I already have one. Like I said, I was just throwing a number out there in my brain that I could think of. But yeah, there's just a few. But yeah, the majority of them, a good. Hang on, I got my CLZ app up here right now. Why am I sitting here doing this like a Dorkenheimer? Let's see, detective. The majority of them, if I'm recalling right, are all let's do missing comics, are all like gold, or not golden age, but silver age and stuff like that. Okay. Yeah, like I need 226, 227, 229. Yeah, so like I have yeah, literally over half the list is below 300. So yeah. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, that'll take me, it'll take a while, but the good thing about detective right now, unless they come out with a new Batman movie, which I know they are next year, I think.
Right.
I'll depend on the character. Hopefully I have that character already his first appearance. So like none of these should go nuts. That's my hope anyways, but I've often thought that. And I mean, I look at my Fantastic Four run and I was like, so happy I got Fantastic Four #2 and got a bunch of, a couple of the single digits and a bunch of this low double digits. And then just the ones I have left now are like, they've literally doubled, maybe some have tripled in the past year. And I'm just like, okay, people must be anticipating the the MCU dropping Fantastic Four here eventually, which I know they're going to eventually, but it's just, I was hoping I had enough time left to still kind of like the first appearance of Doctor Doom. That book's always been pricey, and that is one that I want to say has at least doubled in price. And I had an opportunity to get it, and my normal thinking goes, instead of just saying, yes, I'll take it, and I had the money and everything, I want to say it was a 3.0 if I'm recalling right. And my normal thinking is, I'm like, well, I could get a better deal on that, so I'll say no. So I come home and I go looking at stuff. I try to find it. I call back to my LCS. You know what? Can you guys just put that in bed? Oh yeah, we sold that like an hour after you left. I'm like, crap, and it's like, I should have pulled the trigger like I did on my GI Joe 21 9.8. I paid $1,200 for it. That's a $3,000 book now.
Wow.
Well, at least that's what they're selling for on eBay. I was like,
is that the silent issue?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was freaked out when I seen that the other day, because I was wondering, because I'll be honest, I still owe a little bit of money on my LCS, so I'm still paying it off. I was in there and like, yeah, do you still want that book? I'm like, yeah, I made the obligation to buy it, and I'm thinking they're asking me because it dropped, because I don't look that stuff up. So I come home and I look it up and I'm like, oh, now I know why they was asking, because they're like, we're throwing it on eBay for,
Well, and a lot of not the huge keys, I don't think, like a Batman 1 or Action 1 or even like a X-Men or Avengers 1, those type of books. But I'm talking about the other stuff. I think have starting to see some price drops, some price corrections. So definitely now is a good time to buy if people are in are on the hunt for those type of books.
Yep.
Because they will eventually go back up.
Yeah, if you're prowling Feebay or some of the other sources, you're 100% correct. Right now, a lot of I'll say the bigger books, that most of us would be like, ooh, that's a Grail book. Get one of those or two of those in a year, and we're like super happy. They've at least leveled off, it seems like. But there's still a couple that it seems like Fantastic Four stuff just keeps setting a new level. Like every other month, it's freaking, I won't say they double, but goes up 15-20%. And it's like, I'm just sitting there going, oh, I screwed up so bad on some of them. But, hey, it is what it is. If I could buy every single book there was, guess what? I'd own an LCS, because I'd go down there and buy the LCS out. And then I'd be like, now what do I do?
Yeah, if you bought the LCS out, you'd be like Gollum, precious,
Oh, exactly.
precious. Yeah,
Exactly.
they're like, don't you want to sell that? No. So,
Who's saying that DC multiverse figures have gone crazy? I don't collect too many figures, so I haven't known. Wow.
so if you're talking about the McFarlane multiverse figures, there have definitely gotten to me. It's harder for me to find. I've started pre-ordering them, which is something I don't like to do. I like to find them in the wild,
Okay.
at a GameStop, Walmart, Target, that type of thing. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of the Batman Year Two. They had one that had the classic McFarlane cover where the cape kind of went out to the side there, and they had that. I pre-ordered that on Target, and then Target cancels my order, says, "Oh, we're already out of stock."
I'd have been ticked. I would have been ticked.
The Mattel ones that are released a few years ago, some are going, yeah, and
Wow. You're obviously talking secondary market then. So
yeah,
wow.
oh yeah.
Holy cow.
Well, and they taught I taught myself into opening up my figures, knowing full well that I was devaluing them. Having said that, there is a toy shop that's next door to a comic shop down there near Houdat, and a lot of what they sell is those used figures, and they're selling for the same price or more than what they were when they were bought brand new in the package,
I believe that.
because they've gone up. So
See, that would be like crack on a cracker for me if there's a comic shop and an action figure store right next door. I wouldn't know which store to go in first.
So there's a pop store, an action figure store, and a comic store, and they're all all right there in the same shopping center. You just walk from one to another one. It's crazy. I think I misunderstood the title. I remember looking at a Jordan Auto card when I pulled it.
Yep.
Wow.
I believe that. I believe that easily.
So recently fell in love with Silver Age FF Rough out here. Yeah.
Yeah. Heck, some of those lower numbers, like a number 3 and stuff, even finding one listed is getting hard. Yeah.
So I have been seeing, I don't know if people are just wanting to cash out or whatever, but I have been seeing more first appearances of Doctor Doom lately.
Oh, I might have to get looking, because I haven't looked in like a month. Because
on Instagram. Now I haven't been noticing them like so Elite Comics and Instagrails, which are two big consignment pages. I've been noticing them pop up there, and I don't know if it's just anticipation, people saying, hey, look, the market is kind of softening, I want to kind of take some money off the table, or people getting out of the hobby, or what the deal is.
Elite Comics, and what was the other one you said? I'm sorry.
Instagrails, Grails being Grailez.
Grai. Okay.
So read your keys, open your toys, and drink expensive liquor. I can do the first two, not the last. How about that?
I don't do so good with liquor.
2 out of 3 ain't bad. Huh? Well, Fantastic Four was one of the titles that I used to get back in the 90s. If around the time of the Infinity Gauntlet, and then if you remember when Wolverine clawed Thing's face, and there for a while he was wearing the helmet. During that run, where Sue Richards got the boob outfit, the boob window right there where the 4 was.
Hey, anything you got to do to sell comics, I mean.
But it's interesting. Hopefully, and based on their track record, I would think that Marvel will put somebody that is able to do it right, do it justice. Of course, Fox set a low bar of expectation for Fantastic Four, so they don't have to do much. I mean, they could do like Eternals style, and they could even do better than Fox FF, especially the last one. And
that last one was,
So they don't have to do much, but I think that they will. It'd be interesting to see. So, did you go see Far From Home?
No, not yet. I'm contemplating trying to talk my wife into going. She doesn't mind superhero movies and stuff, but to get her to go to a theater and watch it is a whole nother thing. Like that, like when it comes out available on like, renting it on like Netflix or something, she'll have no ooh, Spider-Man. Last couple have been pretty good as Spider-Man, at least in my opinion, so.
Yeah, so it seems that Marvel has got another hit on their hands if opening weekend is any indication of how much money they will get, because to my understanding that it hasn't even released in China yet, which obviously China's a big market. Mm-hmm. So to have made as much money both domestically and foreign as they have without China is certainly a big plus for Marvel.
Yeah, I might actually see if she wants to go see it this weekend. That might be fun. I don't know. Worst thing she'll say is no.
Well, if you've been able to dodge the spoilers all across the way, then you've been better than most.
I've dodged probably 80% of them because it's like I'll be clicking, see something, I'm like, just because I don't want to get totally. Yeah, because I did that to myself on. I will admit the newer Star Wars movies have not been exactly my cup of tea, to be honest with you. But I destroyed, was it the last one? The Rise of Skywalker? Yeah, the Rise of Skywalker. I watched all the previews and all the spoilers. I went in, and when I finally watched it, I was like, why'd I do that? Because it's like, I know who the fan is. I'm like,
Well, sometimes people try to make chicken salad out of chicken poop. And I think that was where they were with the last one. What is it? Let's see. Is it Rise of Skywalker is the last one?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. Force Awakens is the first one. Yeah. So Rise of Skywalker. With that one, there was so much stuff they were just trying to make up for on The Last Jedi, and then bring the story back and keep all these points in. And it's like, why don't you just scrap the thing? Just scrap it.
I think it gets to a point, especially at a corporate level, where you have so much invested at a point that you almost can't. You know what I mean? It's like they're like, hey, you know what? We have these people licensed to 3 movies or 4 movies or whatever it is, and we got to just do it, So.
Yeah, he Mr. Fantastic has been making questionable costumes for a long time. What's going on, Vincent McLean, the Comic Machine? How are you doing? A German fella should look at Blue Devil. Ask him. Shoulder pads. Yeah. So, but the thing is, it's like, okay, Marvel is so good at fan service. In other words, it brings out the best, or it brings out so much that the old fans think, man, that's great. That's awesome. I remember that. But it's not enough to where you know exactly what's going to happen. Like all the little twists and plot points, you don't really know that. Kind of like with Endgame or Infinity War. We all read Infinity Gauntlet back in the day. There was a few twists that they did that's a little different. So you knew the good guys were going to win in the end. But
how are they going to do it?
Yeah. How are they going to do it? No one, I don't think, would have thought that it would start as it had end as it had started with I Am Iron Man and that snap. How they would have put a big bow on top of that huge present there called the MCU. But with Star Wars, it's like, you do it so well over here. Why can't you have fan service over here? Now, I think that The Mandalorian does a much better job with fan service.
The Mandalorian's been fantastic.
It's like, okay, well, they're doing it over here. Do it with the movies and make lots of money.
But then again, you say that, and I got to agree with you, but look at DC. Their movies per se are not the greatest, but like their 1 hour long animated shorts or animated, those things are pretty. I'm an adult, 49 years old, and I'll sit there watching cartoons with some popcorn going, they're pretty doggone good. So you're like, okay, how can they make this 1 hour long Batman based off Hush or based off whatever so freaking good, but yet you screw up Justice League?
Well, but think about it though. In the cartoons, like you mentioned, Hush, they're largely using the source material.
Good point. Yes.
And if you think about Marvel, for the most part, they use a lot of the source material from the comics. DC movies, they don't. They just come up with something.
Yeah.
And it might or might not mirror something that happened in the comics. And I think that that's been one of DC's problems is, why don't you just do this, take bits and pieces. We don't have to see Martha and Thomas Wayne die again. We know how Batman died. That's one of the things with Spider-Man. We don't have to have an Uncle Ben story. Everybody already knows. And that was one of the great things that they left out and omitted from the new ones, was everybody kind of knew it already. You ain't got to revisit this. Hey, and look, she don't have the reference point that we all do. But that's my point is, there is a best of both worlds with this. You don't have to just have the young ones. You can have the old ones and the young ones by doing just enough fan service to keep the old ones bringing the younger ones back. And because you're never going to be able to exactly recreate that moment when you first seen Darth Vader and Luke Skywalker battle it out on the Death Star. You're not going to be able to fully recreate that because you're not the same age as you were back then, and all the other things that surrounding your life then versus now. But you can get a lot of that nostalgic feel.
And I think that's a lot of it for me, is I'm looking, especially when it comes to Star Wars, I'm looking for that nostalgic feel. I'm looking, yes, I know it's new characters and stuff. They're the children of the characters or grandchildren of the characters. And it's like, but it's like some of it just seems like it's so far away from it. They had X-Wing fighters and TIE fighters and stuff like that, but it's like almost like the spirit of it felt differently. It's like, I don't know.
Yeah, well, and they with Star Wars, they did lift some of the source material. So if you think about Ben Solo, so in the books, it was Ben Skywalker was Luke's son.
Yeah,
okay?
I was gonna say, I thought,
and his Han Solo and Leia's son was named Jason. And he went over to the dark side. So they kind of mixed those things in there together. So that was fine. And I'll be honest, a lot of the Last Jedi, I was okay with.
Yeah.
Okay. Would I have seen Luke Skywalker go down like full-fledged battle, with him? Probably. But to me, I was okay with the way they done it. He died holding and letting them get away, just like Obi-Wan had done. So I was okay with that. What I didn't like was the reimagining midstream of Kylo. I don't think that was a character progression point. I think that was a character regression, if you will. And the fact that they now all of a sudden Broom Boy and everybody can use the Force. Not everybody can use the Force. It's just the sad state of affairs. And then when you come back to 3, J.J. Abrams is trying to reimagine everything he wanted in Force Awakens, create, fix some of the things he felt like were broken in Lost Jedi, and shove it all into one movie. And it was just too much.
Yep. I mean, I ain't going to say the new ones are horrible, because they're not. I enjoyed watching them. I still watch them every now and then. But it just, and again, a lot of that could be my age. I mean, I don't enjoy them as much as I did, because I seen the first Star Wars when came out in 77. So I was 5 years old, and maybe it's just my age, maybe now I look at it and I'm like, it's like, I'll be 100% honest. I watch the Dukes of Hazzard now, and I still like seeing the car chases and stuff. But like when they do a jump and they land and like the car is perfect, I'm like, yeah, that wouldn't happen. Nope, not even possible.
Well, and it's everybody has their own opinion of it, right? Because like some people in the chat were saying, hey, I didn't like the books. And that's true. There were a lot of garbage books that were produced with Star Wars. Everybody kind of went back to the Dark Horse stuff, and there was some good stuff with the Dark Horse, but there was a lot of garbage stuff that they were it just wasn't any good. Now the Star Wars Clone Wars stuff with Dark Horse was really good. I mean, the art, I think the storytelling was pretty good. The Knights of the Old Republic stuff, that's when they were really hitting their stride. And Then, of course, Star Wars sells out. Marvel gets the thing back. But you know that Dark Horse is now is now going to get the IDW Star Wars titles.
That's what I thought. I heard Dark Horse had gotten something back. I wasn't sure if I'd imagined that or I'd heard that or something, but I thought I'd heard something about that they got something back.
Yeah, so they the stuff IDW was doing, like Star Wars Adventures, High Republic Adventures, that type stuff. That's what they're getting back.
Okay.
Because IDW lost it, and IDW is fixing to lose Transformers and some other properties too. So that does not bode well for their fiscal health.
No.
And so I've heard that either Boom, who also has Hasbro's other title of Power Rangers, might get it, but then now Robert Kirkman and Skybound are in the mix. So
interesting.
The Robert Kirkman's, is he the president? He's something with Image Comics. He's one of the owners of Image Comics, but every one of the Image people have their own brand within Image. And his is Skybound. So yeah, that's not good for IDW, because now once they lose Transformers, the next biggest thing they got is Turtles.
Yeah.
And if they lose Turtles, and the big thing with Turtles right now is The Last Ronin, which is fixed to be over.
Yeah, there's only one more issue of that or something?
And they've largely botched the whole Last Ronin stuff. I mean, it's delay after delay. I mean, the hype was real, and it was a good story starting out.
But you have to reread all the other books to remember what happened by the time you get the new one.
Exactly. And so, okay. Yeah, Sonic. Let's see. When you look at the largest shared story from being told in Star Wars, incredible right now, the man's books. Oh yeah. And start over, forget that mess. Yeah, and I can't believe you would say that, man, because I know you're such a big Jenica fan. And so talking about Turtles with Jenica, I'm okay with them adding Jenica.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a character progression, right? But I mean, the problem is when you totally replace all of the Turtles and now it's just a girl band, versus, four brothers getting together. I mean, add somebody else to the family. That's fine. It happens. People get married or, other things happen in their life. But to totally revamp the whole comic to revolve around a character that was just invented how many issues ago versus everybody that they bought to read.
I think my biggest problem with Jenica, and this is because years ago I did study martial arts and stuff. I couldn't kick my own butt anymore, but years ago I was halfway decent. What I don't like is they made her like, oh, she just became a turtle and all of a sudden she's a ninja. And
she was like a foot soldier or something, wasn't she?
She was, but so she had some training, but all of a sudden she's like at the level that the Turtles were, and they were supposedly trained since they was little itty bitties, because there is something for years of progression, and you know what I mean. And sure. I think that's the only thing that kind of that I don't like so much is that it's cool that you have a female character that's a BA and everything, that's cool, but to all of a sudden put her like at the exact same level as the Turtles, it's like
Yeah, no, get all these new characters off my lawn. he's just turned into the grumpy old guy, and admittedly, we all can be that way when it comes to our characters. When there is a certain character played a certain way in a certain medium, written a certain way, whatever, then all of a sudden they want to take them in a different direction. If you think about people that were used to maybe Adam West as Batman, and then they start reading the Batman comics, and he goes from being campy in the Silver Age to being more dark and dealing with darker, characters. And then you got Dark Knight Returns, where he so super dark. They're like, this is not my Batman. But most people would argue today that is Batman, the dark, brooding, detective. So I guess everybody's felt that way at some point or another. And that's why Two Brothers says, collect your way.
Well, exactly. You have to. Well, it's like, talking about when they mess up your character. the newest Fantastic Four movie, where the Thing is this. Yeah, he's a mechanic and stuff. No college. Basically, they make him like dumber than a box of rocks.
Mhm.
Ben Grimm wasn't he a major, I believe? Yeah, I got to recall now for sure, so I'm not wrong. But still, he was an officer in the military, in the Air Force. He had a college degree and everything. He wasn't dumb. He wasn't Reed Richards smart, but he wasn't dumb. The new movie makes him look like he's just like sitting there drooling on himself, you know. And it's
you said he was dumber than a box of rocks.
Yeah, literally.
Was that pun intended? I mean, what?
No, I didn't, but it's pretty good now. I think about it. I wish I would have thought about that actually. No, it just came out. But I hated that because I'm like, Ben Grimm's not dumb. You know, he's not.
Well, and you know, Air Spider, look, if my kids were as interested in comics as I was, you know, I would buy them the A and B covers all day long, you know.
I'd be spending way more money than I do.
Yeah. Well, just because, I mean, none of my children, well, the younger ones do. And when I say younger ones, I'm talking about the 3 and 2 year old. And they get my trades off of my shelf over here, which I'm okay with them messing up. And, you know, they'll sit there and they'll flip through them. And my 3-year-old, he knows all the characters and all that kind of stuff. So, you know, I'm perfectly okay with that, you know, perpetuating, you know, the love for the medium. So
Spider and I are going to rumble here if that last comment.
That's what he was saying. Well, because everybody's got their picture of a dumb jock, right? And so Ben Grimm was the dumb jock, and dumb is subjective because your buddy's a genius.
Well, yeah, I consider myself a relatively intelligent person, but if I was standing next to somebody like Reed Richards level, I'd just be like, "You're gonna do a what with the thingamawooga? What? Huh?
Yeah,
okay,
you
know."
Yeah, exactly. Superior Hero Collectibles, what's going on? How are you? Another one of the channel supporters in the house. Yeah, it's all subjective. Like we were talking about with who does what with the characters.
Yep.
Intelligence is very subjective. Art's even subjective, you know. Some people are big fans of more abstract. Back in the day, I could not stand Bill Sienkiewicz.
Really?
Yeah, I did like it. I like clear, well-defined lines, like a Jim Lee type.
I can understand that. I do, yeah.
But now I dig his covers, you know.
Yep. So. I think it's almost like how do I want to say it? It like ages well is maybe the way I'll say it. You know, it's like the style aged well or something. You know, I don't know. Maybe I'm being an idiot, but because there's a few. Well, it's like Momoko. You know, so many people absolutely loved her when she started out. And I tell you, I could not stand at least 95% of her stuff. And now recently, I'm probably about 50% of her stuff now. And I don't know if it's grown on me or she's changed her style just slightly to where like I understand it better and I enjoy it more, you know?
Yeah. So Air Spider's trying to make up for, this. So.
He is absolutely the heart and soul of the Fantastic Four.
Yeah. Kind of the glue that holds them together.
Absolutely.
But yeah, so it some things do age well, or they say fine wine is better with age. So it might be the case.
I wouldn't know that.
Are you another?
Oh, I don't drink very often, and my daughter's like, "Oh, Dad, try this wine we got." It's like they're telling me it's this certain vintage and everything. It's like $1,000 a bottle, and I forgot where we were. They was offering this little itty bitty sample cups, and I go, oh, "Okay, I'm thinking it's going to be like." I'm going to be like, oh, I take out, I'm like, oh, and the person serving it's looking at me like I don't want to know. I'll just put it this way. That's definitely out of my element. That's all I'll say.
Well, we're looking at you. Oh, he's not really defined like I am.
Exactly.
Peach. Ugh.
Yeah. I mean, I still 50% of her stuff, I still feel that way. But every once in a while, she has a cover now that just knocks it out of the park for me. And I'm just like, wow, I like that, But when she first came on the scene, the first 6 months to a year, everybody's like, oh, it's a Momoko. It's a Momoko. And I'm like, yay. Uh-huh. Yep. What's wrong with Peach?
Well, and, talking about Bill Sienkiewicz, Some back when I was a kid, I was reading it for the story or the art.
Yep.
So not necessarily together. Whereas like some art tells the story.
Exactly.
And it tells a story or it complements the writer. Like if you read Bill Sienkiewicz's Moon Knight, or even like the Demon Bear era of New Mutants, where you're really talking about madness and crazy. So I mean, that's what you think with those, and that's what you kind of think with his art. But Bill S, he can actually draw like classic style. If you look at that Moon Knight #1, it doesn't even appear like any of his other abstract type stuff. It's more classic.
You just named the book. I was trying to think of an example of like how art can change sometimes. And when you said that, I was like, that's the one I was trying to think of. Cause that one. Yeah. No, I don't know. I can't think of a single artist that's mainstream that I absolutely hate everything they do. In fact, majority of them, I love seeing what they do. And, there's a few that I'm really hot on. I really like Ryan Brown's art. I don't know if it's just that it's just a style I like, or I think some of it is his, he's got a little bit of a quirky sense of humor, the interviews I've seen him on and stuff. And it's almost like translates through to his art, because there's almost always some little thing that is like, if you don't know what's going on with the character, you'd be like, what the heck's going on? Like he did the one Joker, or maybe his Dark Knight's Death Metal with the Joker, and the Joker's holding his knife, tapping his eye. Well, it's because it's a fake eye,
Yeah, well, and that was something I didn't even notice, and so those like little Easter eggs like that, to make you just look at, because me, I can be guilty of being a speed reader and missing things like that, especially when you buy so much, you just you're just trying to get through it sometimes. But to go back and say, oh man, I even missed that. Now, Air Spider says I fell for Peach over the Doctor Tomorrow cover. That doesn't even look like her style. If you've seen the Doctor Tomorrow cover that he's talking about, I've got it. It doesn't even look like her style. I bought a lot of original art recently that didn't have text on it and wasn't published yet. It was fun trying to figure out the story from the art alone. There you go.
Oh, yeah, that could be fun. Absolutely.
Ben Grimm has had the best year ever. Got married, beat the Hulk up twice. He got kids, a solo series. There you go. Hey, so I'm getting prepped for a con in let's see, 3 weeks. And this was a book that I was looking at getting signed. I don't have a lot of stuff by this artist to get signed, and I don't have a lot of FF books, but this one looked really cool. So one of them was Art Adams, and Art Adams, this is one of the ones I want to get him to sign.
Oh, cool.
Which is the 1 in 50 Hulk 1 that he just did.
Yep, I like that.
So I have to look and see how big his signature typically is. Maybe try to get it over here on the titling so it as not to distract from this.
Yep.
Of course, if you're going to do Art Adams, I think you almost got to do his classic X-Men #1 cover. And then the homage to that, Age of X-Men.
I never realized that is an homage. Oh, wow. Now you say that, like it stands out so obvious to me, but yeah.
So on there, he puts Art Adams, 11/10/99, after Art Adams, 1986. So this is from 99. So he drew this way back when, after the Age of Apocalypse, but I guess it never got used until more recently. This is a ratio cover for Wolverine #8 or issue 350. And that has Age of Apocalypse characters on it. So I'm going to get both of them signed. And then this one was really cool that he did. This is Fantastic Four #2. And you got all the various villains that you're fighting. And what I thought was really cool is this black box right here.
Oh, have an autograph right there.
Yeah, get him to sign it right there.
Yeah.
And it's a wraparound cover with all the villains and everything around that.
How the hell did I miss that cover? I think I did miss that. I love that.
Yeah, so this is issue 2 or legacy number 647. But yeah, so it's got Namor and the Thing throwing down up there.
Yeah, I missed that one. Doggone it. Well, shoot, now I have something to go look for. That's the worst thing. I mean, I shouldn't say it's the worst thing. It's cool, but going on other people's shows and stuff and seeing stuff, then I end up writing like a little list. Oh, let's look for this. Let's look for this. And then
I didn't even know. I didn't even know that existed. Now let me go get it.
Yeah.
So then also this is from Alan Davis. So New Mutants number 2. Yep. First appearance of Betsy Braddock. And then I've got a foreign version right here of it. And then next time I see Chris Claremont, I'll get him to I wish I had a little bit better copy of the English version. But this one's actually
what issue is that?
This is New Mutants Annual number 2.
New Mutants Annual. Let me see. I don't even know if I got that. It's not a title I go for. Oh, New Mutants Annual. Let's see. Nope, don't have it. I was going to say if I had one a little better, I'd send it to you, but I don't. I'm sorry.
Then you got Excalibur number 1. Another one that next time I see Chris Claremont, because I like multi-signed books, then I'll get him to sign that one too, because he wrote that one. And then one of the co-creators for Spider-Man Noir is going to be there. So I'm going to get him to sign
nice
this. Wish I had the first appearance of Spider-Man Noir, but I do not. Then I've got this one. This is Jerry Duggan wrote. So Thanos Legacy number 1. This is the Clayton Crane variant. You notice I got Clayton Crane to sign this up here in the Infinity signature.
That's a cool cover.
And then I got Donnie Cates to sign it, or where do you sign it? Donnie Cates signed it right here.
Okay.
Can't really see it because it's gold. But
yep, I see it now that you mention it. Yep.
So I guess Donnie Cates and Jerry Duggan wrote it because according to it said Jerry Duggan. So, and then also he wrote, this is X-Men number 2. This is one of these David Nakayama covers.
Yep.
And then this one is already signed by David Nakayama. So,
oh, nice.
So I can get him, Jerry Duggan, to sign it down there too.
Once you get all your SIGs, you're going to send it to CBCS or just enjoy them raw?
So, yeah. So basically what I started doing is I'll use my con money for con stuff. And so instead, then that gives me time to kind of digest everything, get everything I want at the con, and then digest everything and go, well, I want to get this pressed. I want to get this slabbed. I can do it afterwards because I don't have to have
somebody witness it and stuff.
Yeah. Not his signature. Well, hopefully it is his signature, Air Spider. Just saying. But anyways, the if you and you can have it witnessed instead of verified, or verified instead of witnessed rather.
Yep.
And then an example of that would be, let's see, Terry Kavanaugh is a writer. Web of Spider-Man number 90.
I love that remark.
So I'm not a huge fan of remarks, especially big ones, but I've seen other people do this before. Yep. And so I decided to get Sam Del Rose. And it was funny because I had this book with me and I got him to do, for him to do this one. And I had Spider-Man 26, which is another one of those hologram covers.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you saying you don't love his signature? Oh, I got you. Hey, John Tyler Christopher, the guy that does the negative space ones, he has a really ugly signature too. So yeah, I get you. Sam De La Rosa has a very eloquent signature. But yeah, so I was showing him this, and he goes, "You want me to sign that Spider-Man 25?" I said, "Well, you didn't work on it, or 26." And he said, "Yeah, I did." And he opened up. It was the backup story, but for whatever reason in
Okay.
CLC, it did not have him listed as a thing. So I got him to do a Hulk remark on that one because it's a Hulk story in the other one.
Okay.
So yeah, but Terry Cavanaugh was the writer on this one. And then I've got Yannick Paquette did some art on the inside of Batman 50. I figure that I'll get him to sign it. Yeah, there's his name right there.
Yeah.
And I'll get him to sign it, and then at some point I'll get Capullo and Snyder to sign this one too. I got this other let's see, who was this on? This was Howard Mackey. No, that was Howard Mackey. I'm sorry, Howard Mackey is on that Web of Spider-Man 90. I still got to pull the Web of Spider-Man 118, which is Terry Cavanaugh. Now, Web of 118 is the first Scarlet Spider.
How the hell do you remember all that stuff? I struggle so badly with that. I mean,
there's
certain
just
characters.
I just remember because I just looked it up last night. That's the only
Oh, okay.
reason.
Okay, because I'm sitting there just going.
So, but the Web of Spider-Man 118. So that was drawn by Stephen Butler, who is a Mississippian, and he's been supposed to be at several cons, and we just missed each other. So plan to get him to sign that one too. But on this, this is for Howard Mackey. I've already got several people in this to sign. So there's Neil Adams' signature. I think that's Greg Capullo's right there. Yeah, so I've got 3 signatures in here thus far, but this is Batman Black and White, Volume 4. That's a Mark Silvestri cover. So one of those signatures, that's Mark Silvestri right there.
Nice. I never thought about using an omnibus or a hardcover to have them autograph in, or even a trade paperback. That's kind of a cool idea.
Well, you're never going to get it slab doing it this way. So if slabbing's your thing, certainly don't. But it does give you a lot extra room to get signatures.
Yep.
And the other reason why I started doing this was because one of the guys that was at a con, and again, I like signatures. I didn't have anything that he did except for that was found in here. So I said, I'll get you to sign this. And then I said, well, I'll just get everybody that worked on it to sign it at some point. So
I like that idea, actually. I really do.
So that's what I did there. So I've still got to pull my for Ron Wilson. He did Masters of the Universe #1 for Star Comics. I've still got to pull that one. The Web of Spider-Man 118. And Rob Paulson is going to be there, who did the voice of Pinky from Pinky and the Brain. So I've got a Funko Pop, Pinky Funko Pop, and I'm going to get him to sign that. He also did, I think, Raphael from the original TMNT cartoon. So I'm going to see if I can find an OG either pop, or they've got the NECA figures that look like the cartoon. I might get one of those.
Cool.
To do that. So the other good thing about that hardcover is you don't feel bad about displaying all the names.
Yeah, exactly.
So like with a comic, you're like, no, don't touch it, don't touch it. See right there, don't no. So
please sign right here, or do not. Yeah.
Or you better not smear that. You better not mess up my potential 9/8 right there by smearing your signature. So you feel a little bit more at ease to do that. And then I was already looking at Pensacon in February, and it has several folks, to include the voice of Rogue and Gambit from the 92 X-Men animated series, and the voice of Beast. So I'm going to get some pops for those.
That'd be a lot of fun. Absolutely. See, I'm not huge in the pops, but that would still be fun. That's some place where in my brain I'm saying if I could find the pops that wasn't like super expensive, that'd be a lot of fun to get them to autograph. Do you have them just autograph the box, or you have them autograph the pop?
The box, and yeah, typically they'll put like some little saying as it refers to that character.
Okay.
So like on the Lion-O pop, I got him to say Thundercats ho, and then the Kevin Conroy one, that type of thing. But yeah, so I get them to sign that, and at the start of the voice of Grimlock's going to be in Pensacon too, so I've got a Grimlock pop already. But starting with those pops, I said I don't want to get anything except what I plan to get signed.
Yeah, how'd that work out for you?
That floodgate. Once you open up that floodgate, then it's like, man, this is a really cool pop. You know,
was that like earlier this year? You're not collecting the Incredible Hulk? I'm just asking.
Yeah, it's this dangerous thing, you know. This Pandora's box, that once you open it up, you know, it's like,
ain't that the truth?
I got a Hulk one, you know, and so similarly to you with your Detective Comics, that first appearance of Martian Manhunter was, well, hey, look, I've got a big one right now. I can do this.
Yeah, that was a huge catalyst right there. Absolutely. It's almost one of those, I'm enjoying it, but at the same time, it's almost one of those, I'm like, God, I wish I wouldn't have won that dang thing. Because then I'd probably just be happy with the Detective Comics that I have, you know, the newer runs and a few here and there. But yeah.
Well, and the thing with Detective, I guess even more than Batman, that they got some huge keys in Detective, especially the earlier you go.
Absolutely.
And so a lot of the characters' first appearances, well, Batman's included, was in, you know, Detective Comics. And so, yeah, the earlier you go, you're really starting to get into some money. I had, and I've had people ask me, are you going to do Detective Comics next? And I was like, I don't even know if I'll ever finish Batman. I mean, I've got Batman 151 forward.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a huge accomplishment. I mean,
yes, it is.
Let me just kind of soak that in. But
well, I mean, I think that sometimes as you know, people are curious, including myself, are curious, you know, are you going to continue on? But like, I think sometimes unless somebody that's done it doesn't realize what on a title like Batman or Detective, how big of a task that actually is, how many years that has been continuously done. You know what I mean? There's like, and you know, it's not to sound rude, you know, but I think sometimes people just really don't realize what they're asking you, you know, because I mean, it's just, yeah. I mean, how many comics is it? 150 up from Batman. What we're on? What are we on Batman now? 800 and something, aren't we?
Yeah, let's see. So the new current issues 118. There were 52 in the new 52. So 118 plus 52, and there were 713 in the original run. So that's 883.
883, yeah. So minus 150, so or 149. So yeah, 700 and some books. Yeah, it's like, yeah. I mean, or 600 and some books, but still, whatever it is. My math skills are obviously failing me today. But yeah, people don't realize that, and you know, and I'm not belittling anybody by any means. That's not what I'm trying to say. I just, you know, it's like, yeah, Shattered Glass has made a good comment. Detective One doesn't even have Batman. Yeah, it's not until what, 27, I think it is.
27.
Issue 27. Yeah.
Well, 26 has him in a preview at the end of the book. So
okay, cameo. Yeah. Oh God, let's get that started here.
1,300 plus books over 20 years. And so what he's talking about is putting together the 4 colors. So you're talking about the Dell Gold Key stuff. And yeah, I mean, that stuff can be pricey. I mean, I'm the only ones I just got a Solar #1, and it wasn't but a few months ago I got the Turok #1. And most of the ones you find there are beat up. So I mean, if you're not, it helps if you're not like a grade whore, so to speak, you know. But it's tough finding those books.
That would be a monumental task, actually, 4 color. I mean, because some of them are dime a dozen. I mean, you'll find them everywhere and anywhere. But then there's some of them that are super rare and hard to find in any condition.
So ASM has been a lifelong journey for me. If you can do tech, that's a serious accomplishment. Look, nowadays ASM's a huge deal too. I mean, you're talking about a lot of keys, and Spider-Man's one of those characters, especially the ASM run.
Yeah.
I mean, you can do Web and Spectacular and some of those other ones
Pretty
easy enough.
relatively easily, yeah.
But with Amazing, I mean, there's so many first appearances, and he's one of those characters that people like, and that's it's pretty expensive.
Well, there's not an inexpensive book below 100 in any grade. You know what I mean? And I'm going to say right around, even in lower grades, $50 a book. You know, I mean, last time I've been looking, anyways.
Well, when I got back into collecting, you know, you gravitate back to what you remember, and so I was into ASM back there too, and so I was side by side when I was doing my X-Men run. I was doing ASM, and I was picking up the easy stuff, you know, as I started, and when I started getting into like the first Rhino, and when I started picking up those books, I go, I've got to make a choice here. It's one or the other. Yep. I can't keep doing both of these. Not just, well, that allowed me to complete X-Men sooner, but also just space wise, because that's another huge run. I mean, you're at 800 something issues right there.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Well, it's like, you know, talking about making a decision. It's like, you know, I'm trying to do my Spawn run, which some of those lower published issues are super hard to find, and plus they're not cheap. Trying to do my Fantastic Four, trying to do my Detective, and I finally came to the conclusion that going off the mindset that I had is, well, they're an investment, does not always work real well with your wife. Just saying.
Yeah, because she knows better. She looks at your dungeon down there and she goes, "You're not getting rid of them, so don't kid me. And if you die, what do I know? You know, how am I going to get rid of them?"
That's a conversation we had probably about 6 days ago. She's like, she came down here, and because I've migrated some of my comic books out of this room down in the basement to the other part of the basement because I needed room. And she came down, and I won't use her exact verbiage, but it was, "What the F?" And I'm like, didn't say nothing. I just thought a minute. She comes upstairs. "What is all those?" I'm like, well, I needed to make room. I got to reorganize and stuff because I'm trying to reorganize and get stuff set up. And I'm like, they're an investment. They're an investment. And she's like, she goes, "What am I going to do with them if you die before me or before you sell them?" I'm like, "You're going to have a lot of comic books." And I probably should not have said
Yay!
that. Yeah. It went from she was a little upset with me till when I said you're going to have a lot of comic books. And then, yeah, we won't go into the rest of that. It was.
So, you know, this is something I've been thinking about lately, because I don't know did you know HGM Law?
No.
So he was someone in the community that just recently passed. He was one of these guys. He was on several different auctions, you know, auction books off. And this was a conversation I remember him having, and I don't forget whose channel it was on, but he was saying, "Hey, the reason why I'm going out to my garage, as is what I always refer to as his garage, to get these books that he's had for years, and getting so many of them graded, is because his kids had no interest in the comics, and he did not want his kids to have to wonder, okay, am I getting ripped off? Am I getting my money's worth in selling this book?" And they felt like that if they were graded, it would be a lot easier process. And there's some validity, I think, to that.
Oh, absolutely. Especially on bigger books. I've honestly been thinking of that myself. Like, basically, like any book in the condition I have it in that's worth more than $500, well, might even drop down to $400, getting it graded, you know, because I try to tell my family, well, CLZ up tells you what they're worth, but they lost that option now. You know, they don't have that anymore.
That's right.
So it's like, wow, you know, how are they going to have any idea? And, you know, and it could be a book that literally, you know, because I always put a tag on the back, you know, hence why I use these of what I paid for it. But how are they going to know if, say I bought it and it's a $20 book when I bought it? It could go both ways. It could either be a $2 book now, or it could be a $2,000 book. You know what I mean? It just depends on what it is.
And so aggressively has a good idea. He had a spreadsheet explaining what to do with the books, and definitely as important as a will. I would think, especially if your collection's fairly large value wise. There was somebody else I was talking to in the community that that they know someone else in the community, other people in the community that they felt like would know what to do and wouldn't rip them off, that type of thing. If you think about Sam Tangled Web, who recently passed, he was fortunate enough to have people like Bueller and such in his life that, Bueller was able to sell the books fairly easy and get that money to his family. This is kind of a morbid subject, but I mean, it's the reality of it.
See, I agree with Kelly Comics. I refuse. My goal is to not stick them with it. My goal is to live till like I'm around 80 and then sell them off. But the problem is car accidents happen, unexplained illness. I can speak really well right now. Illnesses happen, just stupid stuff happens, unfortunately, sometimes,
So wherever Kelly Comics is buried at, we're going to go dig him up and pull them books out of the grave.
Hope he buries himself with some good ones.
I know, right? So I have 40,000 comics. Good luck to my wife.
Ooh. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And, as far as me, my wife has enough life insurance that she could just say, hey, look, all this stuff in here, just bulldoze it and it's fine. That would be silly, but I do have the CLZ app. I do have everything in there entered in what I paid for it.
Yep.
And, since she does have that, if she sold it for the same amount that I paid for it or more, she's okay. Right. Yeah. Some people might get over on it, but
that's kind of where I'm at too, as I figure, worst case scenario, my wife knows a few of the people that I've talked with and stuff like yourself and stuff, that if something stupid happened to me, that I think she'd feel comfortable enough to reach out and say, hey, do you have any recommendations what I should do? You know what I mean? To different people. But it's just the fact that I look at it and, I'm not quite at 40,000. I'm only about 15,000, but it's just the bulk of them. You know what I mean? And I think it's like everybody's collection. Out of my 15,000 books, there's probably 500 that I would call books that most people, including myself, have to make an intention to buy, that are $500 plus books. The rest of them are probably another 1,000 or maybe the $4.99 to $99 books. And then the rest of my collection is $99 or less. And when I say less, I mean, probably a bunch of them are dollar books. You know what I mean? I'm just being honest, because unfortunately, that's where a lot of books, even though you pay cover price for or something, that's where they end up, unfortunately,
So it might not be worth grave robbing. 75 copies of New Mutants 14.
Dang it. Let us know if you decide to upgrade.
Yeah. I could see that, especially if you're a nerd, because I do that with my net worth. I go in there and anytime I pay a bill, I subtract out, and then my spreadsheet, updates that. I am a living collection. I'm already dreading the family would love to claim my crown. Like Bilbo Baggins had, they think he's dead, and all these people come in, they start claiming everything, and then he's not really dead.
Well, that's the sad thing is not only my comic books, but my sports card collection. I mean, I honestly, I think it's kind of a human nature. As we grow older, we start thinking of more of that part of life that none of us escape from, you know what I mean? And it's just, but it's a reality that unfortunately, stuff happens. I mean, look how many people have passed, in the community this year. That I know of is like 4 or 5 that I know of, and I'm sure there's more, you know what I mean?
Right.
It's just,
hitting 20,000 and then you're going to sell. Yeah.
I wish you the best of luck, man.
Yeah. Scott's got a whole warehouse full of books that he's been, putting on his, he don't use CLZ. He uses another one, but putting on there and such. And he's going to be thinning out. As a matter of fact, he's got a piece of original Jim Lee, Barry Windsor Smith art that he's going to sell me for what he paid for it.
Nice.
Not really. He does have one, but I doubt he would sell it to me for what.
Oh, I was figuring some of that statement was slightly, yeah.
Comic Base is the database that he uses instead of CLZ.
Lady Fantastic's comment.
Let's see. I'll be the crazy old lady with no clothes. So the comic shop that I go to in North Louisiana, a lot of times, is in an area that Shelby's Comics knows. He's actually from that area, and they actually knew the same person I was talking about. So I went into the comic shop last month, and the owner, one of the owners there, he said, "Hey, did you know so and so?" No, I don't know him. So he was telling me, though, he was really singing the blues because this guy was one of these people that went down through the previews and just like this. I mean, just ordered everything. You know, the guy had retired early from up north, had a lot of money. Some money wasn't an issue, and he'd come into the shop like twice a week, pick up his stuff. Never Monroe lady, but yeah. So he would pick up stuff in the shop. And the guy died.
Yep.
And the police showed up at the comic shop saying, "Hey, do you know so-and-so?" And he's like, "Yeah, he's one of my customers." He goes, "Well, hey, we need to talk to you." Well, lo and behold, this guy had a brother. He hooked the police up with the dude's contact information to contact his family because they didn't have no way of contacting his family or nothing.
Oh, geez.
And so, well, the brother comes down and says, "Look, his big stuff was up north still, and I'll get with you on that eventually. But all the stuff that he's bought since he's moved down here in the 90s, it's all down here." He said, "You're welcome to whatever." I don't know what deal they worked out, if it was totally free or was like dirt cheap or what. So, but he went in there, and the guy was a hoarder.
Yep.
And I mean, just boxes on boxes of stuff. There was no rhyme or reason to anything. He bought stuff like that first Swamp Thing volume that I bought from them. It was still in the cellophane, still wrapped. He never opened it up, never read it. Just bought it to buy it. And
so they about that.
What's that?
All about omnibuses and stuff being a cellophane. Still, I got like 6 of them behind me. Yeah.
So yeah, all his stuff was that way, and so he was able to go through there and get several things out before they just bulldozed it.
Wow, isn't that sad? I mean, I would hope that the family, when he took some stuff out of that, maybe they had donated to like a children's hospital or something. I'd hope because. But a lot of it with the COVID stuff right now, depending when it happened, they don't even want that stuff because they can't process it. You know what I mean? For them. So,
well, talking about that, I had bought a box of books from some people, and I went through there and sold what I could, and then eventually I got tired of looking at it, and so I gave it to one of the orphan houses down here in the South. Got a tax write-off for it. And then those kids at the orphan house be able to read comics. So,
see, I never thought about that. That's not a bad idea, actually. There,
and because I just hate the idea of throwing away books.
Oh, I do too.
It's like almost sacrilegious to me,
I do too. It's like because I tried to give some books to the hospital before COVID for the little kids and stuff, and they appreciated at least the local hospital here. They appreciated my wanting to do it, but because of germs and other stuff, they just couldn't do it, so I was like, oh, okay, whatever, but I never thought about stuff like that. That might not be a bad idea. Have to see what type of I don't believe there's any orphanages up in this area. I could be wrong. I've never heard of one, but even if I had to drive downstate a little ways, that would not hurt my feelings with a couple long boxes or something.
Yeah, I mean, and there was nothing of any value or anything like that in there, and it was just older, books like 80s stuff or 90s stuff that nobody wanted, maybe kind of dated, but maybe they'll get to reading some comics and actually like the medium. And that's one of the reasons why, as many extra Valiant books as I have, that I would love to get Stevie B with. I just can't stand the idea that I send them there and I know they're going to be butchered like he butchers horses.
Oh gosh.
He's gonna whip them and whip them good. Okay.
Oh gosh. I should have seen that one coming with the way you saying it. I should have seen that.
Yeah, well look, some people might think that I'm a hoarder at this point if they looked over there and they saw all the action figures and everything else over there in my comic book side of the room over there. But try to be a little bit of order.
Well, you know what's so funny is I found that out of my friends, the people that know I collect comic books, the only ones that make comments about, oh, you're a geek or you're a dork or something, or like, well, that's not a very good investment. And I've said this to a couple of them. Well, what's your investment? What do you have that you buy on a consistent basis, like every week, that, yeah, it might go down in value, but you still have something to show for what you paid. And you know what? To this day, not a single one of them could say they do that. You know, oh, they go get their $6 coffees. They're, you know what I mean? Okay, what, you got a styrofoam cup left over that nobody freaking wants? You know, I'm not against it. Go have your coffees all you want, but I would just as soon use my Keurig upstairs, make myself a cup of coffee, and yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's certainly worse vices out there.
Yes.
Worse for you vices than comic books. And my kids, none of them are prolific readers either. And they're like, you paid what for a book, for a piece of paper? And I'm just like, yeah, and then when I sell the books like on auctions, so I make my daughter, once I package the auctions up, she's the one that actually takes them to the post office for me. And she's like, you sell all these books? And I'm like, yeah, let me tell you what I paid for them. Or, especially like the bigger ones, because, it's a bigger number for them.
Yep.
And they're like, oh, I can't believe that. I can't believe that. And I said, what are you wasting your money on?
Yep. No, it's the truth. Though it's like my wife and I have talked and she agrees. I have, since we've been married in the 20-some years we've been married, done much dumber stuff with my money and my time. You know what I mean? And have nothing to show for it. And I'm very glad that I have found this, because like she says, I might be downstairs where she's in the upstairs watching TV or doing whatever she's doing, but she knows where I'm at. I'm not at the bar. I'm not doing, I'm here and I'm having fun. Or the best part about it is there's some nights where I'll take my comic books and I'll be like, hey, watch your recordings from the week, enjoy your recordings. And of course, she records soap operas, which I don't know how people can watch them, but hey, she enjoys them. So she'll sit there and watch them and I'll read comic books, so we're in the same room, but we're both doing our own thing. And because I'm reading, I'm not paying attention to how much I don't like soap operas. So,
well, my man cave in here, the little ones, they'll stroll in at any given time. They'll come in, they're tempted to play with my toys, but they know most of them are off limits.
Yep.
But they'll come over here and read the books, and they'll come in here and play. I told my wife, I said, you're welcome, just like they are, to come in here anytime you want and sit down and, while I'm chilling, because, I don't sit in front of the computer. I'm very bad about getting on auctions, comic book auctions, because then I buy stuff. But yeah. So, but I'll turn the auction on and I'll go over there, and they'll, I'll hear something that interests me. I'll get up and I'll come over here and, see what it is. But I'll just sit there and listen to it while I'm over there trying to sort through or read books or whatever like that. Let's see, the trading cards is a different story. My family that's one thing that I have shied away from, or not really. I mean, I've got a little album down there. Somebody AOK'd me some Valiant cards, and I picked up some other cards here or there, but it's like one binder. Whereas used to, back in the day when I was collecting, I had, of course, they had cards for everything, right?
Yes.
And so, and yeah, Lady F, she's got, and I used to have all the Marvel Universe 1s, Universe 2s, and all those. And she was showing them off one day, on the channel. But those I don't know if they've cooled back off like some of the comics have, but I know there for a minute, like during COVID, man, those things were getting really hot.
Yeah, they've cooled off a little bit, but yeah.
So he's going to, thanks, Scott. Appreciate you thinking about me. Bronze Age John says he's got the same first comic he bought in 1972.
That's cool.
I wish I did.
I wish I did too.
I don't. I do have copies of the OG comics that I had from back in the day. And I've got the first one I ever read, which was an ASM book. It's not the original copy, like I said, but
yeah, my first comic book I remember buying, anyways, was the G.I. Joe number 17. So
you said it aggressively. I was gonna say something to the effect of, the X-Men can be somewhat of a soap opera of who's sleeping with who and who's being true. But yeah, so aggressively, however, uses the Peter Parker being in a coma and his long lost clone brother taking his place. Well, that does sound like John and Marlene on Days of Our Lives.
He did come out of a coma though now. So,
so do you read ASM?
Yeah.
So I was talking with the guy at church the other night. We were talking about Spider-Man. He said, I'm fixing to get the Marvel Unlimited app back, and I'm going to start reading Spider-Man again. I said, well, look, let me save you some time. Don't read it.
I was going to say, there's
the Nick
times
Spencer
where I
stuff was very lackluster, in my opinion, and hopefully the Zeb Wells stuff, which he did really well on Hellions, hopefully that'll do well.
Yeah, no, I'm not. How do I want to put it? It's not my favorite series right now to read, to be honest with you, but I read it because I don't want to give it up, because I know my type of luck. I love Spider-Man enough that the minute I say, you know what, hey guys, just cut this off my pull list, that like within 2 issues, something fantastic will happen, and I'll be like, don't,
But see, that's what we tell ourselves on these runs we get, right?
Yeah.
We say, it's going to get better. It's going to get better.
I was just thinking, I've probably read 5 really not so great books in a row right now. So, yeah.
Uh-huh. Well, and so like with the current Batman run, Tom King had ran his course. It was good I wouldn't say while it lasted. It was good for a while. Then it kind of, yeah. Well, then Tynion came in and it was good for several issues there. Yep. Then it did the same thing. Sometimes writers these days run a course. Even if you go back to the Claremont, I don't want to sound blasphemous, because I think Claremont is definitely one of the best comic writers who's had the most touch with the vast majority of Marvel Universe.
Yeah.
That I would say rivals Stan Lee, especially when it comes to the X-Men franchise. But even Claremont stuff, and he was a long form storyteller.
Yep.
He told a lot of stuff, a lot of little subplots. He came up with more subplots for the X-Men than Jerry Duggan can come up with plots for X-Men today. And they were just like, just side notes. And that's how his mind thinks. But even some of them were like, okay.
Yeah.
They didn't hold up well to the test of time. But
no writer's gonna have every issue be just where you're like, oh my god, I can't wait for the next one. But it's like, you would at least hope that you'd get one of those books out of at least 4 that you're like, oh my gosh, where's that next issue? You know what I mean?
Right.
And it seems like I said it on the show the other night with Fu there. Right now, I think DC story-wise, in general, is doing way better than Marvel. In general,
Well, now, admittedly, I would be biased to admit that because I am largely a Batman fan. Yep. 75% of their titles are Batman right now.
Yeah, that's true too.
But a lot of them, I say Legends of the Dark Knight's an exception to this, but the vast majority of them have been good. A lot of times you have the oversaturation and you just start putting writers on there for the sake of writers. But you've had writers like Chip Zdarsky in Batman Urban Legends. Now you got Josh Williamson on Batman. You've had some top tier Batman stuff, coming out. And haha, lady. Yeah, right. Well, look, Chris Claremont, like I said, his storytelling, his subplots, And if you're an X-Men fan, you need to watch the documentary of I forget what they call it, but it's Chris Claremont X-Men. You can Google it. It's on YouTube. And watch it, because it tells you the story about how he started out and then, to the present day. And Louise Simonson's on there a lot. Obviously, she was a big part of the X world. And she said, look, Chris would get into a slump because he was writing so many books and trying to come up with a new idea. And she'd say, well, what about that little sub thing that you kind of threw out there? And he goes, oh yeah, I forgot about that. Yep. Yeah, I could explore that. And he'd go back and explore that and make this whole deal. Whereas, now people have to rehash the same thing. What's the title event for X-Men right now? Inferno? Yeah, I think that's been used before, right? So they're rehashing the same old stuff over and over again because they can't come up with any new ideas. Yep.
And then that's part of the problem too, is really, I mean, how many new, like totally new ideas can there be? Just like that last one, Fear State. Old comic spell. Fear State. That was actually a pretty good, but all it was is, the Scarecrow's been improved. I mean, but at least it, how do I want to say it? Maybe it wasn't a super great story, but it flowed well for me, at least. You know what I mean?
I don't think the execution was that great for me. Okay. I felt like it had a lot more promise, and it's kind of like a Donny Cates storyline. It just overpromised, under-delivered.
I enjoyed it, but I thought they'd go a different way. I'll be honest. I enjoyed it, but I thought it'd go a different way.
Yeah. I mean, it was just like, it didn't deliver for me. I mean, it was okay. I mean, it's not the worst thing I've ever read, for sure. I just think Tynion was doing so many titles, and you could tell he was ready to go.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that's what the problem with it was.
I think that's a huge problem nowadays with a ton of writers, is they get so many books going that, how do I want to put it? My opinion is you can either be super great at one thing or you can be mediocre at many, and
now that could be true. But if you think back in the day, how many books was Stan Lee putting out?
Oh,
how many comics was Jack Kirby drawing?
Yeah.
I mean, how many titles was he sitting there drawing simultaneously and getting done, knowing that they were not releasing in the same sequence? So some of them were not monthly titles at that point, but they were pushing it out. I think that the deal is that a lot of the big companies, the big two, Marvel, DC, are not in large part really exercising to keep that great talent. And so the great talent's going other places where they can get paid more. And I can't say that I blame them.
No, absolutely. You can't blame them. You can't blame them at all. I mean, that's, because I look at like story writers and artists, like anybody in a career, you can only do it so long. A lot of people are like, well, hey, writers, you're just making up stories. Well, artists, you're just drawing. Okay. Anybody that thinks that, I dare you just to sit down and put like a table like an artist has, and just sit there and just scribble for like 2 hours if you're not an artist, and see how your back and neck feels. Now imagine doing that every day for 8+ hours a day. It's work.
Yeah. I mean, and of course it's different today in the sense that you could, a lot of artists are digital artists, and they can just click, go and send it, but I mean, even back in the day, they used to have to mail the art sheets off to New York, in Marvel's case. And some of them would get lost. I forget what Conan issue it was that they did a reprint. The cover was meant for the comic, but the interiors is actually a reprint because the art pages got lost in the mail.
That'd be so frustrating as the artist to have to redo all that again. And I have a feeling, because it got lost in the mail back in those days, Marvel and DC would not pay you to do it again.
I wouldn't doubt it. So Louise Simonson, of course, her husband now, Walt Simonson, huge with the Thor, Beta Ray Bill, X Factor, all that kind of stuff. And she was really instrumental in all that. And I'll keep dropping this little tidbit of knowledge simply because so many people I told this to, they didn't know, but I found this out in the X-Men documentary, was that Louise Simonson, or Wheezy, as they would call her, was the model for the girl on House of Secrets 92.
Oh, neat.
So, she was, obviously much younger back then, but I mean, that was some years ago. Artists are being ripped off, some more than others. The thing about it is, so think about when these people drew this stuff, they had no idea. There was absolutely no way you would have known that the multi-millions of dollars in merchandise and movies would come from their creations. No, there's no way. No one thought it, right? And so in the contract, there's nothing stating for that. So legally obligated, Marvel and DC have to pay them nothing.
Yep.
Okay. Now, you could argue morally, should they? Maybe. I think that they would be a lot better off. And this is what happened with Batman when it came to Bill Finger or his family, or the Schuster family, Siegel and Schuster with Superman. What happened? They just had to pony up some money because they were going to lose the rights. This is what I think is going to happen with Spider-Man and Doctor Strange and some of these other properties that Ditko created now. But what they would be better off doing is a goodwill check and acknowledging them for it. They would come out so much better with PR. One, they would retain talent, which is important for future eras of books and idea pools. But to the public eye, they would still come off being better than they have to be. In the grand scheme of things, what is $50,000 to Marvel Comics?
Nothing.
It's peanuts. So would they have been better off for Ed Brubaker, who came up with I believe came up with the Winter Soldier idea, to have paid him $50,000 or even $100,000 and say, "Hey man, thanks for coming up with the idea. We made a lot of money in Civil War, Winter Soldier, and we're going to continue to use that character." Yes. Did they have to? No, but
no.
Yeah,
but I think a lot of that is when it comes down to like attorney speak, the minute that you acknowledge something like that, it opens up another door. You know what I mean? That's the problem there, and unfortunately businesses are, they're businesses. They're there to make money, and, and it's just because I forgot what we were talking about. There's something at work when we was talking about it. It's something about, well, why doesn't the company just do this? And the thing is because if they did, then it opens them up for other things, and it's like, oh, okay, that makes sense, so.
Yeah. And Ryan, if you're talking about the deal where Todd McFarlane, didn't pay him what he was supposed to pay, that's kind of ironic because, Todd McFarlane would have made that, argument that Marvel wasn't paying him like he should. For him to turn around and do it to somebody else was kind of hypocritical.
Yep.
Small town collectibles. What is going up in, I was going to say KY, but that really would not sound right. So what's going on in Kentucky? Yeah. So Power Pack for Life, talking about Louise Simonson there. Take the account, spoken to Kirkland. All right, let's see. I think I called up. Oh yeah, he's a pretty savvy businessman, but being the whole gaming thing, and there was another deal that he got in trouble with, and he ended up going into bankruptcy at one point, but he has obviously rebounded from that. I would pay an extra $1 for variants that went towards creator retirement and led. Hey, that's a great idea, wouldn't it be?
I would too.
Yeah. And, or let's say this, what if Marvel said, instead of us paying out, this said creator for this, that, and the other, fees that we legally don't have to pay, why don't we just make a donation of $1 million to the, is it Heroes Initiative? We can just make a donation for $1 million to the Hero Initiative. They get to write it off and they get the goodwill of the comic community. Mm-hmm. Right. Oh, Gene, or did you say something? I'm sorry. Oh, I remember what he said. Hold on. I was going to say something, but we were talking and I forgot. So he wanted to say, Stan, glad to see you're okay. We'll worry you were sick or something.
Oh, no. I just been recovering from knee surgery and just a lot of crap going on right now. I'll be back doing my channel first part of the year. So
yeah, Tony Isabella, I met him at Pensacon last year. He's a cool guy. He came out with Black Lightning, which is now being used in CW.
Yep.
But yeah, and I think he's, and some of these creators are actually getting into the the movie side of things. I forget, who was it? Was it Matt Fraction that's helping them with the Hawkeye show, because that's based off of his run? I think he's helping them getting a, what they call it, a fee, where a consulting fee, where they say, oh yeah, this is kind of how I would do it, you know, how I would lay the deal out. Yeah. So let's see. Oh yeah. What showed the tops. Mm-hmm. Okay, Fraction and Mac. Yeah, Mac. Yeah, that's right, because he came up with Echo. That's right. David Mack came up with Echo. And so, yeah, I mean, that's kind of the deal you get into. But now the creators, I'm sure, are going to want some kind of creative rights. I think that derivative characters don't get one. So, like, if you make a Green Lantern, you don't really get rights for that, right? Because Green Lanterns are an established mythos. But if you make another character maybe that fights Green Lantern, you would. So people are a lot smarter nowadays. But again, there was just no way that they would have known that this stuff would blow up the way they would done.
Oh no, back in the day when they was doing it, it was for kids, you know, mostly. I mean, it was just, you know, I mean, there were adults that read it, but majority were kids, you know. It's just,
well, and who would have thought? I mean, because when I was a kid, I mean, you didn't talk about reading comics, because that, I mean, you know, that's not cool. And not with the jocks and not with the girls, and you know, there's two people you were worried about. And you know, now to think it's mainstream, that everybody knows who Spider-Man is, and everybody knows who you know, Batman and Superman, you know, they've had movies for years, and so pretty much everybody knew who they were, at least in theory. But you think about some of these other characters, Guardians of the Galaxy.
yeah.
I mean, they even have video games for Guardians of the Galaxy, and that was totally a dead to everybody but nerd franchise, right?
Yep. Absolutely, it was dead. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, it's like the drug dealer, you know. Oh, you're into comics? Comics, okay. Don't tell nobody. Yeah. It's almost as bad as New Kids on the Block. So back in the day when I was in elementary school, New Kids on the Block was the cool thing. Well, you know, you had all these little teen bop magazines, and we traded them like currency. Okay. Yep. So you would get a teen bop magazine that would have pinups of various teen celebrities, whether it was New Kids on the Block or Debbie Gibson. I'm going to date myself. Debbie Gibson or Paula Abdul and things like that. And so we would trade them. So I would get a magazine that had New Kids on the Block. I couldn't care less about having Donnie Wahlberg, you know, pin up on my wall. So I would tear it out of the magazine and I'd say, hey, you know, you got a Paula Abdul and we can trade type deal. It was a total deal. And so some of the guys in one of my elementary classes was making fun of this girl. Van King was her name. Her name was Vanessa, but they called her Van. And was making fun of her for liking New Kids on the Block. And I felt sorry for her. So I told her, I mean, it was the truth. But I mean, again, we didn't discuss those type of things, that I like New Kids on the Block music too. You know, hanging tough and all that kind of stuff. And she said, so she's like, oh, they made her feel better. So I thought I was doing good. Well, so somebody comes over there and starts picking on her again. And then the next thing you know, she goes, oh, yeah, well, Jason likes New Kids on the Block too. He even told me. And I'm like,
I threw you right under that bus.
I know, right? And I didn't want to lie about it, but I mean, I didn't want to talk about it either.
Oh, that's funny.
So the Black Lightning guy lives up around Cleveland. He put a Craigslist out earlier this year for a yard sale. Sounded very personable in the ad. Yeah, he's a nice guy. I met him at Pensacon this year. He was the creator for Misty Knight, which was Iron Fist's love interest. He also Tigra, which is one of the Avengers, and then Black Lightning. Yeah, we're hanging tough.
Well, hey, Jason, I don't want to be rude, but I'm just noticing the time I got to go.
Yeah, I think I've got a conference call at 4:30 myself. So I'm glad you said something. So you're keeping us straight, Stan. You're keeping us straight. Look, I know you mentioned something that you're going to be starting back up things on your channel this coming year. So are we waiting to January 1 forward, or do you got anything dropping soon that anybody needs to know
It's going to be after January 1st. Yeah, just going to get back to the comic book halls, and I got some new ideas on there. Got some stuff. My wife said she's getting me some new stuff for my studio for Christmas, so that's going to be fun. Big goal is just getting this all decluttered and cleaned up so it looks better behind me. If I can find some boxes. But yeah, that's a big thing. Speaking of the devil, my wife's calling right now.
Oh, she heard you talking about her.
Exactly.
Well, look, appreciate you jumping on. Appreciate everybody for hanging out with us today. Be sure to smash that like button if you have not already done so. And don't forget, this month's giveaway is the Uncanny X-Men 266. Links down in the description below if you're interested in on getting in on that. I don't know if I'll go live between now and Christmas. But hey, everybody have a Merry Christmas, and we will catch you later. Till next time, keep reading, keep collecting. Adios.